Metallica took over a New York City record store for a day, signing autographs and selling only Metallica merchandise in the Metallica store for their first in-store event in 7 years. The former Sam Goody's record store was closing its doors the next day, and it wanted to go out with a bang.
Metallica's the best! They're my favorite band! They rule! Yeah, Metallica!
This is the kind of thing that's pretty cool to do. We'd like to do it more often, but people around us tell us that because of the numbers, whatever that means, that just these are the kind of things that also potentially could get pretty out of hand pretty quick.
A special giveaway at the one-day Metallica store was a live recording on cassette of 3 songs recorded at a 1991 Moscow performance. Between the music, meeting the band, and all the Metallica stuff, the day was a success. Metallica has been seeing a lot of their fans on the road during the last year and a half, and they're going to be seeing a lot more of them as they continue their ever-expanding world tour.
12 months turned into 15 months, which turned into 17 months, which is now turned into, 23 months. But yeah, we're going to do 6 weeks in the States, then we're going to go to Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, then over to South America, and then end with a stadium tour in Europe.
Metallica took over a New York City record store for a day, signing autographs and selling only Metallica merchandise in the Metallica store for their first in-store event in 7 years. The former Sam Goody's record store was closing its doors the next day, and it wanted to go out with a bang.
Metallica's the best! They're my favorite band! They rule! Yeah, Metallica!
This is the kind of thing that's pretty cool to do. We'd like to do it more often, but people around us tell us that because of the numbers, whatever that means, that just these are the kind of things that also potentially could get pretty out of hand pretty quick.
A special giveaway at the one-day Metallica store was a live recording on cassette of 3 songs recorded at a 1991 Moscow performance. Between the music, meeting the band, and all the Metallica stuff, the day was a success. Metallica has been seeing a lot of their fans on the road during the last year and a half, and they're going to be seeing a lot more of them as they continue their ever-expanding world tour.
12 months turned into 15 months, which turned into 17 months, which is now turned into, 23 months. But yeah, we're going to do 6 weeks in the States, then we're going to go to Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, then over to South America, and then end with a stadium tour in Europe.
I think that some of the energies in the business should be more concerned with trying to push some original things up to the forefront than to sit there and always look back. They don't want to admit to themselves or to anybody else that there's just people out there that buy records that just want something real. A lot of people up on the 25th floor of these record companies and stuff like that aren't always right about what people want. A few years ago, like I said before, it was exciting when a few bands all of a sudden, like the Chili's and Faith No More, came up, and everybody was like scratching their heads, not knowing what the hell that was all about. And I just love that kind of stuff. And if there's something similar that could happen in '92, or hey, I'm not partial, it could even be '93 for all I care. If something like that comes along again and people go, wow, what the hell is that all about? Right now, I think there's this whole wave of real rock and roll and all this kind of stuff. And I think you'll probably see a lot of that for the next year. It never really strays too far to one side, because which is very much a sign of the American culture, which is that once the scale gets tipped a little too far this way, all the people over here go, wait a minute, and they sort of tuck it back over here, and then these guys over here. So it's like, here's the middle point, and then it just sort of balances back and forth, very nice, and never really strays too far, and everybody's kind of happy, and then somebody gets a little pissed off, and it's like, that's just America in a nutshell for you.
For Metallica's new tour is innovation, and they're not kidding. There are several features to the evening with Metallica that are not your typical concert fare. First thing, instead of an opening act, Metallica will show a half-hour documentary on the history of the band.
I think the night of Metallica, or whatever it's going to be called, is a cool idea. And incorporating video with history of the band, especially at this point, I think we have a lot of newer fans that don't really know a lot about the early stuff. So it will be nice for them to kind of understand what Metallica is about.
When Metallica takes the stage, it's a stage in the form of an arrowhead. There are front row seats on each edge and an audience pit right in the middle of all the action. There's a drum set on either side, and the band is surrounded by microphones.
James could be doing a lead vocal from this point over here. I could be doing a backing vocal from here. Kurt could be doing a solo on, because he has pedals all over the stage, could be doing a wah thing over from this corner, and there's two drum sets. Usually there's just one up on one side, and then it moves and rotates, okay? So at any given time, any given song, any city, any country, any day, the focal point for each song is different.
For the hardcore fans who buy Metallica bootlegs, a special section of seats, the taper section, allows fans to bring tape decks and video cameras to record the show. It's a move that flies in the face of the conventional wisdom that bootlegging hurts legitimate record sales.
There's one other band that does it, and look where they're at. One of the biggest bands around now. That's a Grateful Dead for you people who don't know.
So many changes to their usual show structure, particularly the stage, there was a little trepidation at the final rehearsal.
I think half the battle is going out there and seeing it right now. I mean, it's physically being there. I mean, we've come a long way with it. Now we just have to get used to playing on it.
Like right now, there's so many things that we're throwing ourselves out into with this no opening act, kits in the middle, a movie before we're playing. It's like two drum kits, this really weird shaped stage. It's like we don't know what the hell is going to happen, but at least we have the balls to try. The situation is on our commitments for the shows. We've played collectively between, you know, with temperatures of 105 and voices that can't sing and shoulders that can't move and stuff like that. And without sounding corny, I mean, nothing really holds us back if we have a commitment to do these shows.
Pois é, não importam as condições, o Metallica garante sempre bom espetáculo. Para quem pensa que o clima nos shows da banda é violento, Lars Ulrich dá mais recado.
So in terms of violence and problems arising, so far we've been very lucky that the problems have been very few, and the couple times that there has been a problem, like for instance about a month ago in Indonesia, it was something that we had totally, it was out of our control. It was outside the stadium, and that's something to do with the ticket prices for the kids and things that would just beyond our control. So far so good. The track record's pretty good.
You know, the same thing with last night in San Juan as well, when we got rained out as an act of God. I mean, it's very, very rarely that Metallica just cancel a show.
Você viu que Lars mencionou um show na Indonésia e Jason falou em San Juan. Parece que nessa última parte da turnê mundial, Metallica tem rodado bastante.
What's keeping us, I think, giving us about a, you know, fifth win right now is the fact that in the last couple of months we've gotten away from the, and I don't mean this in a specifically negative way, but in America, 200 shows in America doesn't offer a lot of variation in terms of energies exchanged with the audience and cultures and blah, blah, blah. The last 3 months on this tour, we've sort of gone to all these sort of far out spots of the world, from Singapore to Mexico to, you know, New Zealand to all these places, and Indonesia and so on. And that's really, I think, keeping us kind of on our toes, because every 2 days it's a new country, it's a new culture, it's a new society, it's a new energy and a new everything, you know, and that really keeps it going right now.
Só que essa turnê do Metallica tá tão variada quanto longa. A banda deve parar de tocar em julho, depois de quase 2 anos. Mas será que eles seguram o pique até lá?
Of course, there are times that you're almost at your wit's end, but there are many more good things than there are bad. And so we just try to keep cool with each other, have patience with each other, and we know that we're a team and we have to do an all-for-one type of thing. And that's how we're, you know, the light is at the end of the tunnel now. The end of the tour is the 4th, 5th of July, right? That's only a couple months away. And so we are looking forward to a break and being able to do our own things, but we're still, I mean, when we go out there tomorrow night to play, you know that we're going to give 110%. That's just the way Metallica is, man. That's bottom.
It's been anticipated as the biggest tour of the summer.
Co-headliners Guns N' Roses and Metallica, along with opening act Faith No More, began their trek across America at Washington, D.C.'s RFK Stadium last week. The show was a major success, despite, among other challenges, the very intense heat.
While I was sitting up on stage and I looked up, they had this like temperature gauge or thingy, whatever up there. I look up, it's like it's 105 degrees. It's set on the thing. I'm going like, why am I doing this? Isn't this stuff dangerous to do?
With each act only a few weeks off from their last tour leg, getting the music right is one aspect of this show that nobody is worried about. Guns N' Roses says they're so well oiled that the band needed only a single day of preparation, and that without singer Axl Rose, to rehearse a few oldies for the tour. Axl had no concerns about missing the practice.
Once the music's there, it's kind of like getting in a car and driving it when the car is completely tuned and it's running well, and you know how to drive the car. It's like when the band's got the song down, I know the song.
With Faith No More opening the show in the afternoon and Guns N' Roses closing well after midnight, Metallica's middle slot puts them in the unusual position of playing under both sun and lights at the same gig.
You start when it's still daylight, and then you get the whole transformation into like nighttime and stuff. It's great playing right at twilight and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with the slot that we have here, and it's cool.
The only low energy point in this 7.5-hour extravaganza takes place after Metallica's set ends. That's when the great juggling act of getting Metallica's enormous customized stage off and Guns N' Roses' enormous customized stage on begins.
You know, the set change between us and Metallica is an hour and 15 because, I mean, they're both big productions, and instead of turning the stage around like most bands do, we have to take down the Metallica stuff and put our stuff up, and it takes a lot of time. So by the time we get on, unfortunately, most of the kids are burnt out.
The band certainly aren't burnt out, and that's a good thing because nobody here will be getting rest anytime soon. Both Metallica and Guns N' Roses will return to their own tours in the fall. But for now, this mega tour marches on, a testament, the band say, to their no-compromise careers.
It's more of an accomplishment to get all these bands who are so much against the system and against the industry standards and pull it together and make it the biggest thing of the summer. I mean, there's a sense of accomplishment. So yeah,
Metallica has returned to the road with Guns N' Roses and a new temporary guitarist. John Marshall of Metal Church will be taking up guitar slack for frontman James Hetfield, who suffered second-degree burns to his hands during a pyrotechnic accident on stage in Montreal on August 8th. Hetfield is able to sing, as we discovered at a recent post-accident rehearsal, and he's expected to be well enough to play again soon. As for Marshall, who used to be Hetfield's guitar tech and has subbed for him on stage before, he sounds like this.
Well, Queen was a band that I grasped onto when I was younger on my own, pretty much. My brother had Sabbath, Jethro Tull, some other bands that influenced me a bit, but Queen was one that I went out and kind of picked up on my own. It was the guitar that really turned me on to that. The fact that they weren't using an orchestra, that he was doing it all on guitars. Like, wow, he got all of them sounds out of his guitar.
The group attributes the long wait for their latest record to a new, less stressful way of doing things.
We've nearly killed each other and everybody around us when we made records before, and I think we all felt that we wanted to try and see if we could come out of this somewhat alive.
The guys teamed up again with producer Bob Rock, who also worked on their critically acclaimed and commercially successful 1991 release, Metallica. The band, who are currently recording in New York City, are experimenting with different gear as well as different ways of writing.
A lot of different sounds.
Yeah, different amps and guitars.
Yeah, different instruments, yeah.
The input from Jason and Kirk was a lot stronger this time, and I think me and James kind of took a little bit of a step backwards and we really wanted to try and do more of a band thing this time.
The reigning gods of arena rock will be traveling a different concert path this year, headlining the usually alternative Lollapalooza.
I think we do fit in because I think we have always been going against mainstream stuff. I think when the mainstream came to us, you know, it was very clear that they came to us.
The band plans on doing a world tour after Lollapalooza, but they want to take an extended break before revisiting anywhere so that they can put out a second record.
I think our idea right now is to go everywhere once and then kind of see what happens. Maybe go back and work some more on some of the songs that are incomplete right now from these sessions that I think we feel are strong enough to put out on a second record from these sessions.
Whether it's shaking things up at Lollapalooza or playing a stadium full of metalheads, Metallica's philosophy towards their art is simple and direct.
We don't give a what people think. So why should we start now?